Hi, I'm Todd Foge, CEO of Great Plains Communications. This holiday season marks the third year of our Support the Troops program, which provides Great Plains Communications customers with a free shipping label for a military goodie box to send to family members serving overseas. The program is our way of saying thank you for the sacrifice made by the men and women in the armed forces who serve this great country. Over the past 2 years, we have sent out hundreds of prepaid labels so that customers could send a little piece of home to their loved ones. The program has impacted people serving all over the world and their families here at home. Have a great holiday season, and thank you.
We're Lon and Carol.
And we're from North Bend, Nebraska. We have used the Support the Troop program, sponsored by Great Plains annually since its inception, and we plan to continue to use the program. Our nephew was in the ROTC program and was commissioned as a first lieutenant in the U.S. Army and was serving in Iraq. And he, along with most of his troop, was seriously wounded by a landmine. And our nephew Brett has since been discharged from the service after a year's of intense rehab with a 40-some% disability.
I'm Mark McGreer from Big Springs, Nebraska.
I'm his wife Nita, and thank you Great Plains for the Support the Troops program. I got the letter, and I always go through the mail, and I read the letter and laid it on my desk for a long time, but then kept thinking, I put it in the pile, to take care of pile, and finally got it taken care of. Finally sent it in and was excited. I think it was after I got the first response back that I said, whoa, this is cool. I need to do this for the McGreer Brothers account, and then our other son, our fourth son, we have 5 sons, and our fourth son is working with us in Grant, and I said, hey Patrick, did you get this letter in the mail? Would you mail this in for me? And he was willing to do that. So I ended up with 3 free boxes, postage on 3 boxes.
And I learned about it from Nita. Nita's informed me what was going on and what she was going to be able to do, and it sounded like something.
You probably just said, what are you doing?
Yeah, and it was just sounded like a great opportunity to get some things over to our kids and just a great way to support the Nebraska troops that were over there. So it looked like a great opportunity for us.
Charles's little brother Paul served in Iraq, and so yes, I got to be really good at sending packages, although I have the mom's feeling of guilt about not doing enough, but I knew that white socks were important to his brother. I think I probably sent Charles white socks too, but socks don't last very long when you're grinding sand in your boots. So I'd send white socks and my homemade chocolate chip cookies. We would buy Pringles potato chips and take the can and pack the cookies in the can so they would arrive. I think they arrived really dry, but I think they arrived. I don't know if they were just crumbs.
I don't know that they ever lasted more than a day. From the sound of things, it sounded like they were a hot item to have. So
I did that once when Charles was in basic training. I didn't know that you couldn't send cookies. So the drill sergeant called Charles up and made an example of him, but then I think they shared the cookies. I didn't know you couldn't send cookies to basic training. So the other thing that seems to go over well are dried apricots and nuts, and his brother just requested wasabi almonds. So the last package I sent to Kosovo had wasabi almonds in it. So I'm all for Great Plains doing this program again this year, because I will take advantage of it again.
Yeah, but Nita's the kind that she thinks of things like that. Like another thing that she sent was a little Christmas tree, little ornaments in it as well, so he could have his Christmas time over there and just the connection with the family. So always been a very close family.
I'll show you. I painted Um, for Charles, I painted little stars, and I put every family member's name on a different star, and I sent all of them in the box except for one, and the one that said Charles then hung on our tree.
It's emotional, isn't it?
Yeah.
To think back to it.
It is. I had forgotten, when I sat down to think about this, I'd forgotten the things that we did, but that was...
Yeah, holidays are really special times for us to always get together, and when somebody's not there, it's tough.
I wanted him to feel a little part of our family at Christmas time, and morning coffee is really important to us, and so we sent him a coffee maker, and we sent him coffee grounds, and then I bought enough mugs for the whole family to have to drink out of at Christmas time, and I sent his mug in the box. So when we drink our hot chocolate, the little children drink hot chocolate, and we drink coffee at Christmas time, we knew that he was drinking out of that same mug.
When he was serving in Iraq, we sent a package every month, and this was before the Support the Troops package, or Support the Troops program was in existence, but we sent a package every month, filled it every month, and he talked about opening that and getting the little bit of things from home that he loved to get. And so we knew it was very important to them. There were some things we sent every month, like homemade cookies. That was always a big hit. But then we would try and find some different things, so the packages weren't always the same. One of the things that Brett told us that he especially appreciated was we would send news articles from Nebraska, or pictures, or the Nebraska Land magazine was a big hit with him, and Nebraska Life, and he always appreciated those current issues, getting right over to it.
And they always appreciate hearing about the Huskers, of course. Oh, they're out there every day protecting us and allowing us to have the freedoms that we have, and so whether they're serving in the States or abroad, they're doing the job that some of us aren't able to do. I never had the opportunity to be in the service, and so I really appreciate the fact that there are men and women out there that are keeping us free.
Well, I feel as an American, it's my obligation to support those that are serving to keep us free. And if we would each just do that, send a box at least one time a year, the impact it would have on our servicemen and how they must feel that they are appreciated and recognized would have a great impact for them.
It's got to be a lonesome time for them, or at least there's got to be some lonesome times. I think they're so busy with the work that they're doing, but I think they always appreciate hearing from loved ones back home and receiving some things. And the nice thing is, I think when they get a care package, they share it. Share it with all their buddies. So I think that's something that it's the least thing we can do when they're that many miles away.
It means a lot to me that we have young men that are willing to risk their lives for freedom, when it's not necessarily on our home soil, but freedom in general. And especially that idea of fighting terror in the world. Someone needs to do something.
It's made a huge difference, you know. I know of troops that have been over 5 times, come back struggling with, depression, struggling with issues that are really tough, that we can't even fathom what they've gone through. and the sacrifice that they made is just gives it so much more meaning, especially when you know those guys and when you know where they came from. We had an opportunity to talk to a lady in Valentine that had a friend that this boy had been over to our several times, and how he was really struggling at this particular time. And so we're always looking for those people that have their children were there, or they have spouses or loved ones that were there, and making that connection. And because we think that there needs to be a bonding over here as well as over there, in a unity and fighting for what we really are, you know, like Nita said, fighting against terrorism. And there's just bonds that you grow with the people that you see when the boys are deployed. When they come back, you see those same people, and it really is a great bond.
But I'm really proud of our country, the way the troops are received now. You hear about standing ovations when they go on an airplane. I think that's so cool.
It's really...
And I think there's a respect that didn't used to be there.
There is, yeah. You see it a lot more openly than you used to. So
but
we appreciate that as families of those members that went over and served.
Well, we had, as we said, we had been in the habit of sending a package monthly. So happened to be our nephew, and then the packages were different when he was in the Army hospital and in rehab. When our nephew was injured in Iraq, they had a program down in Sam Houston, Texas, where his parents and relatives, where they took care of them and found the hotel rooms and so forth for them. And so there are people out there that really care for them, and we just felt this was a small way that we could return back, and Great Plains just gave us the nudge by offering this program that, yes, we'll help you do that. And so now, like I said, it's kind of become a tradition for us each year, and we'll continue to do that.
Pretty simple method. Send a postage tag and slap it on the box, and can't be overweight as long as you can get everything in that box, and the troops appreciate it. And I think that's the bottom line.
So I think to understand us, you need to understand this part of our story, and that is that we're Christians. And so when Charles went to Iraq, we'd already emotionally been through having our third son in Iraq, and he flew medevac helicopters. And one time he told his dad that they may as well have put a bullseye on the helicopter, that, you know, they were just a target. But we had to decide how we were going to respond to him being deployed. And I had a friend that her son was deployed, and she was physically ill, and I understood that. I think you could go there, but early on we decided that we were going to trust God, because what does your Christian testimony mean if you're not going to trust God? And so the 139th Psalm says, "I knew you when I knit you together in your mother's womb." And this is my version, and every day of your life is written in my book. And so if we really believe that God knows the end from the beginning, which we do, then it takes that element of fear away. I can't live my life worrying that something might happen. I have to trust that when something does happen, that I can walk through it with God's help.
Going along with that at the same time, we've seen how our troops are trained, and what we see is will make you proud to begin with, and to know that those guys are that well trained over there, that they're the best trained troops in the world, bar none. And that part of it is also a part that it has an easing to us. In fact, when Paul had gone the first time, we actually had a period where our youngest son, Tim, had rolled a car and crawled out from underneath it.
He had his seatbelt on.
He did have his seatbelt on.
He wouldn't have lived.
And crawled out of the front window of it. Another accident not far from that was flipping a four-wheeler with a spray tank off the back of a pickup. He could have been injured.
Rolling it out.
And people would say, "Aren't you so afraid with your son being in Iraq?" And we say, it can happen here, and it does. And yes, there's an element. There's the element of war we can't get away from, but at the same time, they are so well trained and are so prepared that it gives us a peace, as well as the Bible and the 139th Psalm. We just totally trust Christ in their life, with their life, and we did that when they were born.
We have a cousin that's, he's my cousin, but he's like Mark's brother, and we love him so much. Well, he came to Lincoln with us, and the buses pulled up, and, excuse me, I said to Steve, my cousin, "There's Charles's bus. Oh, there's Charles. He's going to be the first one off." And he looked at me and he said, "Charles is going to be the last one off." And so we stood, we waited, and we watched Charles shake each man's hand. And that made me really proud too. I don't know if you knew that.
Hi, my name is Charles McGreer, and I received a package from Great Plains Communications to support the troops program. I was deployed for 10 months to Baghdad, Iraq. I was pretty fortunate. I got to move between 3 locations in Iraq, and so I wasn't stuck in the same place all the time. But a lot of the guys were stayed right there in Baghdad, and so getting a package, what that really does for you is it breaks up the monotony. If you're in country for 10 months and you're sitting in the same place, you go to the gym, you get up, you go to the motor pool, you work, you go home, you go to bed, you do this. Groundhog Day all over again, and so getting a package really breaks up the monotony. I remember getting packages at Christmas time. I had a Christmas tree and a coffee maker, and I had some slippers in there. I think I had a Rubik's Cube, and so it was some fun stuff to be able to get that. I was pretty fortunate because as a second lieutenant, you kind of know your job. You're a professional soldier. But I had a guy with me, my platoon sergeant, Dan Malese, and he's an E7 that had been around quite a bit. And what he actually did was he sat down in the office and he kept track of who got packages and who got mail that came in. And there were some packages that people sent that were generally just for the troops. They wouldn't send it to a specific person. They just send it over to the leadership, and then we would be able to hand it out. And those guys that weren't getting packages, that's who we tried to hand those off to. As a leader, you're always concerned with your troops' morale and welfare and how they're feeling. You can really tell a difference. The guys over there that are working for you, if they have a family at home that cares about them, their performance level is better, and their day-to-day, how they go about their business, it makes a huge difference. To me, I've always been a citizen soldier, meaning that if my country really needs me, I can go put the uniform on. I can shave my face and go put the uniform on and be ready to go. But at the same time, I want to have a civilian life. I want to contribute to the population. I mean, it's not for everybody. We need to have, full-time professional soldiers. But to me, I want to be involved here, and I feel like that's the way this country was made. When the Revolutionary War was going on, farmers went and picked up their muskets and they went to war, and that's what at the core of me, that's what I feel is important, is to be able to at least have the opportunity to do something great. Oh yeah, your emotions are intensified throughout that time. As far as the people that you're with, they do fit within the framework of your life. And I don't think that you realize as you're going through that time that you're growing close with them at all. You know, you talk to them about, man, having some troubles at home, you know, and you commiserate with them, and not necessarily commiserate, but you understand what they're going through. You understand where they've been and what they've done. And, you know, if what you're asking is do you feel a closeness with those guys? Yeah. The guys that I went with were all Nebraska National Guard guys. We all love Nebraska football. You know, we all love the same things. And so that's what I feel like it's critically important to support these guys, because we're farmers, we're bankers, we're plumbers, we're electricians. We work for Great Plains Communication. You know what I mean? I don't know how many guys work for Great Plains, but you know, they work for New Holland and Grand Island. These guys are just they're everyday guys that are going out there, and maybe they're just trying to get a paycheck, you know? But somewhere along the line they said, hey, you know what? I have the qualities to do this. I'm loyalty. I am loyal. I feel a sense of duty. You know, they're somewhere in them. They said, I want to serve something that's bigger than me. And to me, that's pretty neat that those guys would want to do that. And so, like I said, you know, it all kind of ties together. The support that they get from home, if they don't have to not necessarily worry about what's going on at home, but if they don't have major catastrophes going on at home, and if they can just be focused on what's going on overseas, if they're focused on their job, the likelihood that they're going to get hurt or take a misstep or do something wrong is a lot less. And so, you know, is sending a package over, does it take a lot of time? Is it really hard? Is it a big deal for you? No. And when the guy gets it, does he do cartwheels down the streets of Baghdad? Well, not necessarily, but you know what? He knows that somebody cares, and he knows that he can stay focused on the task at hand. Today, watching my mom and dad's interview, I think that might be one of the first times I've cried about being gone, because when you're deployed, you don't want to think about that. You don't want to think about, you know, oh, I've got it so bad over here, and you know, that's not, you can't put yourself through that for 10 months. That emotionally, you'd be a train wreck by the time you got back. So, you know, you try to, the homecoming, it was really amazing to have my son, you know, my 3-year-old who I hadn't seen, well, he was 2.5, that I hadn't seen for a year, to have him come up and hug my neck, that felt amazing. And to see my family and friends there, it was pretty cool. To be able to shake every man's hand and woman, we had 2 females with us, to shake everybody's hand when they came off that bus, and know that the people that I left with, that everybody that I went over there with, they came back alive. And you don't feel any pride in that, and you don't feel anything more than to know that you were very fortunate and blessed, that you had a lot of good people with you. And you know, my homecoming, I expected to come home, and so it wasn't extremely emotional, but I was in Iraq for 7 months before I got to come home on leave. And I came home on leave, and when you come home on leave, all you want to do is get back to your family. That's all you want to do. And, you know, there was a problem in Atlanta when I was flying through Denver, and it was delaying flights. And there were 3 of us, not from the same company, you know, hardly knew each other, had just met in the Denver airport, and we were all trying to get home and trying to get on a flight, and we kept going up. There were several, you know, I take that back. We were trying to get out of Dallas, not Denver. We were trying to get to Denver, and we kept going to wait in line, you know, put our names on the list to fly standby. Kept trying to fly standby, and it started about 3 in the afternoon, and by about 7 to 8 o'clock at night, we tried 5 or 6 different flights to get onto, and finally found one that had 1 open seat. And by that time there was just 2 of us. The other guy decided, I'm going to go to a hotel and try it the next day. But there was 1 open seat, and we were standing in line talking about, well, one of us can get on and one of us can't. And a lady came up and said, you could have my seat. That was neat. That's how to show true care. I'm gonna help you get home to your family. So she ended up getting on the flight too. They made room for us, but we gave her a coin and said, hey, you know, there's a tradition in the Army that we give out coins for people that do things that are honorable. And I said, what you did, just because it worked out doesn't make it any less honorable. And she was very unselfish to do that. So that to see people give just warms your heart. And to see them, whether it's giving up your seat or sending a package with Support the Troops, it is the neatest thing in the world that you can do for somebody else.
We want to thank the families who shared what this program meant to them. If you have a loved one serving overseas this holiday season, we hope that you will take part in the Support the Troops program and allow us to help you deliver a little holiday cheer. And make sure to take a moment over Veterans Day to say thank you to those in the community who have helped to defend our nation.